Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Said everybody in the arenas here is packed early on. No latecomers. Was it quite the scene last night?
Yeah, there's lots of people that, you know what, hey, Connor Bedard comes in, he's highly anticipated by fans, and you know what, his shot really, and you saw it on that goal, I think that's probably been the one thing about Bedard that's been the most impressive, is just his shot. The Blackhawks aren't very good. He doesn't have a lot of talent around him, especially with the injuries to Jones and Hall and the termination of Perry, and Athanasiou's hurt, so you know what, it's going to be some tough sledding for him. Because I don't care who you are, even the best players need another really good player around them. If you look at the top scorers every year, Rod, usually there's a few teammates involved there. But, you know, Bedard can shoot the puck. And obviously Oilers fans know what that 97 guy does. He's pretty good as well. So I'm one who kind of thinks it's a little unfair. Like, it's true it's Connor versus Connor, but they're not on the same level just yet. Just like McDavid, when he came in as a rookie, wasn't on Sidney Crosby's level. Now, a few years later, he's past Sid overall as Sid gets older. And McDavid and Bedard are a little bit closer in age, I guess, by 2 years. But I still think it'll be a while, if or ever, you know, we see Bedard pushing McDavid for scoring titles and stuff like that.
Sure, but you know what? You saw Bedard at the World Juniors because it was in Edmonton. You saw him there. Did you see a measurable improvement in his game, or is he just basically the same player in your mind?
No, I think he's better. Well, obviously he's stronger. That's the one thing I noticed right away, right? Like, his first few strides are a little bit more powerful. His release, though, it's ridiculous, right? Like, his shot, I would say, already is top 5 in the NHL.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
People were just pawing at Chris Jones, just pawing at him. You know, he's trying to put his roast beef on. He's trying to scoop his mashed potatoes. He's trying to get his peas and carrots because this is a typical Saskatchewan meal. And he's like smiling. Oh, yeah, we're going to be good. We're going to be a good one. Yeah, we're going to be chopping wood. Coffee turned around and goes, you're going to get tired of that crap real fast. And Jones is like, no, just like home. Nope, just like home.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yeah, that was a good one yesterday. Welcome, everybody, to the RP Show. Slightly out of sorts today, and I'm going to tell you how and why in a second. You're going to notice things are a little different. Whoop, cutting my head off there, boys. It's an IKS production of the RP Show, episode number 1142 of your favorite daytime sports talk show. I'm in South Florida, as you can see. Let's bring in the Moose. He is in Toronto, and again, we're going to try and stick with the program as much as we can, Moose. But before we jump into the rest, hello, what's with the Jets jacket today?
Well, you know, you had the Jets in the thumbnail, and had me all feeling good about Winnipeg's team this morning. So I looked in the closet, and it just stood out to me, so I grabbed it.
Good for you. It spoke to you. I like it. Well, the Leafs are home tonight, so I wondered about that, and we'll be covering that. People are kind of figuring out now what we do in hour one is talk about last night. What we do in hour two of your favorite daytime sports talk show is talk about tonight's games. I'll tell you that coming up on the program today, Scott Laughlin, whom I listen to almost every day on Sirius XM NHL Radio. Scott Laughlin, a little later on in hour one. He and I are both alumni of The Score and proud of it. And Julie Robenheimer, we must be December because we talked to Julie. We'll be talking about the NHL Little World Juniors. She has worked at Elite Prospects, NHL Radio as well. And now she's running julierobenheimer.com and some other interesting things. So those are the guests. Tuna, can you hit the quick six show horn, please? Tuna, please. So where I say this show's a little different, actually it's a lot different than all the rest, Darren. I'll tell you this. This morning, I was running away, pounding away on the treadmill at Johnny O's. And he does the thing where he stands on the next treadmill. See how it's never boring in our life. It's always new, you know. Johnny O's standing on the next treadmill, and I'm giving her on the way to running 4 miles. And Johnny said, and by the way, he's just Joe Florida. I mean, he looks like he's an action figure. He's ripped, he's cut. He's 63 years old. He's from Boston originally. Whips around in a Mercedes convertible, owns a gym. What more do you want to know about Johnny O? Today, he was telling drinking stories of being with Dan Marino. Anyways, he's like, what'd you get up to last night, Rod? Did you watch hockey? And I'm trying to run. I'm like, what did we do? I can't even run because I'm so focused on today and tonight and this show. For $1 million, I couldn't tell you what the hell we did last night. And then I was like, oh, yeah. I watched Pittsburgh and Montreal play. And then I had to ask Serena, what else did we do? And she was like, what's the double shot of Shameless? And she's like, and then I went to bed. So that's the one thing where my mind is. I don't know about yours. I can't even literally remember what I did last night. I've reached that age of I finally figured it all out and then forgot where I put it. That's one. And two, I told you this morning that my phone's been going off with all these football guys that want to talk. And I'm like, no, Jose. I didn't hear from you guys for 6 months. Which is fine. You were busy doing your thing, but now they're not doing anything. Their season's over. They want to talk. They're like old women. Sorry, old women. But they want to sit around and gossip and talk. I'm like, no, I'm not answering the phone. And as you said very aptly before the program today, you were like, people want to talk. They want to talk now. So you can't. So you get back to them like 7-8 hours later. Oh, yeah, what were you blowing my phone up about? I'm free to talk now. I can't remember. Yeah. Isn't that just the way now, hey?
They can't remember, or they're like, well, I'm busy now, so I don't have time for, you know what I mean? And they feel aggrieved, you know, and it's just like, yeah. That's how it goes.
It's just, oh my God. You got to let it go. And the other thing is like putting your phone away. We will get into the quick six here, but trust me, I'm not on my phone anywhere near as much as I used to be, and just staying off social media because I was saying to Johnny, he's a Bruins fan, but he's the guy that said he doesn't really follow it anymore because there's too many teams and the players all look the same, and I can't argue with him. And I said, oh, I saw this morning that your Bruins lost in overtime to New Jersey, and somebody wrote on Twitter that the Bruins are frauds. And he goes, how can they say that? They took it to overtime. They're still the Bruins. And I'm like, why didn't you? It's just all these opinions. So for the most part, stay away from it all from what I used to. And then I completely missed that the World Junior cuts were made last night. I don't even know how it came on my radar like an hour ago. I had to completely rejig all of my quick six show topics to put the World Junior cuts in there. And it caught me a little off guard, but this is also how things change. Do you remember, are you old enough to remember, that they used to say Hockey Canada would not inform the World Junior cuts late at night? They always did it first thing in the morning. Do you remember that? Very first thing in the morning is when the cuts were made because they felt it would be dangerous to do so late at night because the players might injure themselves or harm themselves. Do you remember that?
Yeah, and I used to remember it was such a big deal, the cuts. And they would go and knock on everybody's door, right? And you'd film it and you'd get the reactions. And it was always a big deal. They felt, though, I feel like now we're starting to see, oh, that's not right. We shouldn't be making them feel bad. So now it's just a press release. Here's the cuts. Here's the team. Move on. You know? And that's what happened. I think it was in the mid to late afternoon that it came out. Sometime after the game, kind of late afternoon, early evening, that it came out. But yeah, no more door knocks, no more drama around the cuts. It's just, here it is, boring to you. And is what it is.
At least, if they could find a way to not announce who the cuts were, I'm sure they'd try to find it. They probably tried to find that in today's society, but it hit the news wire at 8 p.m. Eastern, if anybody cares. So that's when they came down, and I completely missed it this morning till like an hour ago. So that's what you run. And again, I missed out on the whole Tommy Cutlets phenomena. I got to thank my guy Chris from the Bronx, who you met. He was telling me all about Tommy Cutlets. I'm like, what are you talking about? Tommy DeVito and his agent, and I wasn't up on all that. There's a lot to stay up on. Tuna, are you still there? Can you hit the quick six show horn and we'll get down to business now? There's our preamble. There's our rant. Thank you. So this is so last night, but it was a tough night for the Montreal Canadiens, but a history-making one for Sidney Crosby. Sidney Kidd tied former teammate Mark Recchi for 13th most points in NHL history with 1,533 in the 4-3 shootout win over Montreal. And also, as I mentioned, the Devils beat Boston 2-1 in overtime. These will be reflected later on in our NHL top 5, bottom 5 for Bet Regal. We're going to do it a little later. The Winnipeg Jets beat the LA Kings 5-2. Gabriel Velarde had a goal and 3 assists for a career-high 4 points in his impressive return to LA. Kings, of course, acquired him. Kings sent him to Winnipeg for Pierre-Luc Dubois in the summer. How about those Jets? They rallied from a 2-goal deficit to finish their West Coast road trip with 3 out of 4 wins. And are you noticing the Islanders won their 4th in a row, 4-3 over Anaheim? The Islanders now 9-1-4 in their last 14 games and just 4 points behind the Rangers for first in the Metropolitan Division. That wasn't all the games, but those were some of the highlights. And before we move on to some other things, how about those Jets? I'll tell you right now, they're the best team in Canada. I voted for them in that yesterday. You may or may not agree because I know Vancouver's hot. They've won 4 in a row. But if I was the Jets, if anybody's watching or listening in Winnipeg right now, back off and let them do their thing. Because you know people are going to say, what can we add? What can we do? What does this team need at the trade deadline? Apparently nothing. They've gone through all the renos, man. Just let them play. What do you think?
Yeah, sometimes it's a good lesson, and you just have to let things run their course a little bit and have patience and trust, and also understanding what moves need to be made, but not over tinkering with your lineup, right? Some very small moves were made by this Jets team. Pierre-Luc Dubois out, Wheeler out, but locking up Hellebuck and Scheifele, letting things run their course, giving your coach some space, to do his thing and deal with family issues, come back. It really is starting to feel like this is a team again, a real team with an identity, and they're all together. And these are really, really good things. They're building some strong momentum. It's fun to watch.
Trent in Norway. He is with us today. Hey, Trent in Norway. I don't have my Norwegian flag, but trust me. He says, Norway here, the Jets are taking off. Moose is wearing the proof. The Oilers are coming back. The Canucks are doing well. And Connor Bedard needs help in Chicago. Hail Canada's NHL teams. Stay well. Trent in Norway. I got all the sound effects out. Don't worry. Trent in, John Ohm. Says, you got that right, Rod. Let the Winnipeg Jets do their thing. No. I'm pretty much always right. It just takes people some time to catch up. Hence, talking about Paul Coffey being the greatest hire on the Oilers bench, and everybody was laughing at me. And now they win 8 in a row, and everybody's saying one of the biggest reasons, Paul Coffey. Okay. Robert Campbell in Las Vegas writes in and he says, Velarde revenge game. Yeah, I get it. He goes back and wants to shove it where the sun don't shine. But whatever your motivation, I'll say this before I move on. When all those years that I spent in junior hockey and pro football, everybody's, well, he's just playing hard because he's trying to get a contract. Or he's just playing hard because it's his draft year. Or he's just playing hard because this was his old team. I don't care. Whatever under your ass, I'm all for. I don't care. Because a lot of guys need that. So if it was a revenge game, then it worked. To football, backup quarterback. I looked up the quarterbacks for tonight's Thursday night football game and almost puked. Backup quarterback, Easton Stick.
How about that?
Can we check his passport? That's his real name. Easton Stick.
How about
starts
that?
In place of the injured Justin Herbert as the Los Angeles Chargers visit the Las Vegas Raiders in tonight's NFL contest. The Raiders haven't announced their starting quarterback. Vegas could, well, this is what this says. They're usually wrong, though. The Raiders haven't announced their starting quarterback. They could stick with rookie Aiden O'Connell, who has started the last 5 games, or turn back to veteran Jimmy G, who has been benched since week 9. The reason I puked was because I looked it up on the wonderful Score app. Here's a little marketing shtick, everybody. You would wonder why the Score needs to advertise. But I see their ads, even down here in South Florida for the Score, and it says the GOAT of apps. You damn right it is. I'm on that thing, I don't know about you, I'm on there 20, 30 times a day, the Score. But they still advertise. Coke still advertises. Who doesn't know what Coke is? But I looked at the starting quarterbacks for this game tonight. I'm like, who? Easton Stick? That's a hockey stick. Easton Stick. Or at least it was at one time. And Aiden O'Connell? These guys aren't even household names in their own house. This is not, and not to mention both teams are 5-8. AFC West battle. Give me a reason, Darren, to watch this game.
I can't. I did see a photo. Somebody photoshopped an old Easton Synergy hockey stick into Easton Stick's hand, and they said Easton Stick with an Easton Stick. It was pretty funny. I kind of liked it. But like,
it is good.
I know it's tough. Brandon Staley's not going to be coaching this team next year in LA with the Chargers. I can't imagine. We don't know what Vegas is going to do moving forward. It's just really, really tough. I feel like if you want to, play with Jimmy G at all moving forward, I think you got to just ride it out with him. But probably moving on from him too, and not a lot of reasons to watch tonight. It's unfortunate, but probably won't be tuning in.
From the audience, from the cheap seats, Kevin the Medium checks in. He says, the Canucks are by far the best team in Canada. Not only top Canadian team, they have the top players in the stats. Thank you, Kevin, but unfortunately, you're an irrational fan. You know that, and I can't go by what you say because you're irrational, and you know that. I say that tongue-in-cheek. I love you, Kevin. You know that, but you're a Canucks fan, so I can't go with what you say. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Not sorry. From Al Broderick writes in and says, advertising works. That's the interesting thing, though. The Score doesn't need to advertise to me. With however this AI-generated algorithms thing go, they wouldn't be advertising to me if they were checking my phone and saw that I open the app 30 times a day. At least. Oh, heard this one today. Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in and says, remember when they said the New England Patriots will start backup quarterback Tom Brady? Well, they didn't say that because he came in the middle of a game for Drew Bledsoe, Jeff, the Stamps fan. And if you're saying Easton Stick or Aiden O'Connell are the next Tom Brady, I'll tell you what, do me a favor, and you watch the game and you come back tomorrow and rub it in our face, because I don't think that's going to happen. Ryan in Toronto says, I had an Easton for street hockey. What I remember is Wayne Gretzky. First, the Red Titan, of course, but then the silver Easton Stick. He's the guy I think of when I think of an Easton Stick. Not the quarterback of the Los Angeles. What would you rather have, an Easton Stick or Easton Stick? I'll go with the hockey stick. I'll go with the aluminum one. And by the way, that's our poll question today for our friends at Key Auto Group. At the Key Auto Group, you can buy with confidence, knowing that they provide reports on all vehicles they sell. Get fully informed about your next vehicle by going to keyautogroup.ca. And boom, 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 boom. What do we have here? I'm just getting the sample size on Twitter. You people are saying, 65% of you are saying the Las Vegas Raiders. Boop, caught myself. Las Vegas Raiders. 65% of you saying they will win the game tonight. We'll be back with more. Got our NHL top 5, bottom 5 on the way. Canada's World Juniors team has been named. We got CFL news to get to. Oh, and believe it or not, I do have thoughts on Draymond Green being suspended indefinitely by the NBA, and you might be surprised. And they're good. So stick around. We'll be right back here on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
RP show continues from South Florida. That's one half of the show. Moose is in Toronto. We're talking sports and a lot of Canadian sports because that's the basis of our audience largely. But we're also airing in 31 U.S. states. And as we've learned, those people like Canadian sports. That's why we do what we do. Moose is in Toronto, as I said. Let's bring him on in here. And I got some spicy text messages have come in. They're actually not that bad. But I'll say, I was saying to Darren how windy it is here today, like unreal wind. That's why I moved the show here out of where I normally am because of wind. 902-518-3033, the Sober Carpenter text line to reach us here. This morning, I was at the Cadillac dealership in Delray Beach. Look it up. Serena had to drop off her car, so she asked me to come up and pick her up and bring her home. And while I was waiting, while she was checking her Cadillac in, I was talking to the attendant, like the valet. They do things differently here. And he says to me, no top on the Jeep, of course. He goes, how's that thing in the wind? I said, a hell of a lot better than the rain. And he thought for a second. He's like, I get it. He's like, cool as hell, though. I said, yeah, buddy. It sure is. Speaking of cool, Ryan Thomas writes in, former Regina Pats hockey player on the Sober Carpenter text line. He has a message for Kevin, the media team. He says, actually, Kevin, statistically, Toronto has a higher winning percentage than Vancouver. 4 points back at the Canucks with 3 games in hand.
How about that?
And I'll just say, they kind of sound, I don't know what the word is for it. Because I'm trying to get my head around, because Tommy Ryan is not a fan. He played major junior hockey at a high level, and I think he was our captain for a while. But he should know it doesn't matter. Like, if Vancouver craps the bed and doesn't make the playoffs, which is usually what they do, we're going to sit back and go, we were the #1 team in Canada, December 14th. Who cares? Why do people care so much? Like, it's not like the college football playoff, which incidentally, I don't know, you're probably not following this. It comes up on my timelines. But Kirk Herbstreit, the college football guru, who will do color tonight of this Chargers-Raiders game in Vegas, he goes, I'm on the voting committee, and I didn't put FSU in because they're not one of the best 4 teams right now, period. What don't you get? Washington, Alabama, Texas, Michigan. They're the 4 best. End of story. Quit bitching. Until the criteria becomes the most deserving, maybe you got an argument. But right now, you're not top 4. This is Canada's version of the college football playoff argument. Who's the best team in Canada in December? Change my mind.
It's not about standings. That's the thing. When we say who's the best team today, you have to throw standings out the window, because what it comes down to is if the teams played each other, who would win? There's a real good argument to be made about Edmonton, about Winnipeg, about Vancouver, and about Toronto. The others, hard to make that argument. But with all 4, you can make the case.
I'm smiling because I'm having so much fun. Because Kirk from Toronto writes in, you're not going to want to miss this. We'll push our top 5, bottom 5 in the NHL to next hour just to keep everybody hanging on the edge of their seat. Because clearly they all care. But Kirk in Toronto writes in regarding these backup quarterbacks starting tonight, and I've already forgotten their names. Kirk says, hey, Rod, nobody heard of Danny DeVito either, and he's won 3 games in a row for the lowly New York Giants. Okay.
How about that?
It's Tommy DeVito. Not Danny DeVito. And without a word of a lie, he has a cousin named Danny DeVito. But the quarterback's Tommy Jr. Yeah. Chris Sanford said the exact same thing. Of course. That's what he said. Of course he does. So you still don't know Kirk, you don't know his name. But it is like the hottest story in sports right now. And to be honest, it scares me a little bit. I was telling Darren this, and Joe, our business guy in the morning meeting, with Yahoo Canada Sports going down the crapper, which it has. They folded up their department. It's the most horrible thing for Canadian sports and the CFL and sports that we love, because what are they going to start carrying in Canada? U.S. sports coverage, college football. Why did I see the Kirk Herbstreit story? Because it was a Yahoo story, and that's where I get my emails. So I call up Yahoo. First thing, Kirk Herbstreit calls out FSU fans. I'm like, I got to read this. Huh? Click on it. So I'm still trying to figure out, frankly, why so many people care. College football playoff, I totally get it. I do. Who's the best team in Canada in December? I don't understand why people care so much. And clearly I never will. So, yeah. John in Edmonton writes in and says, rumor has it that the CFL schedule will be released today. This is according to the play-by-play announcer for the Calgary Stampeders. Mark Steven? Well, I would assume we would know by now. People would have blown up my phone if the CFL schedule came out. And I can't base this show on what might happen, so I guess we'll be talking about it tomorrow. On a Football Friday, by the way, John Ohm says, wow, can you ever hear that wind at Rod's place? Grab a surfboard, bro. I know. That's why I moved it up closer to the house out here on the Line A. Because in Florida, they call a covered patio a lanai. I call it a Line A, and nobody knows but me. And a few others. Okay, Darren, I'm going to move on. Now, again, people said, you're not going to grow in the United States, talking about the CFL and Canadian sports. And I said, I don't want to grow in America. We're good. You do you. Point 4. Macklin Celebrini will be on the plane to Sweden. The 17-year-old presumptive #1 pick in the NHL draft next summer was named to Canada's 22-player roster on Wednesday night. The smooth skating center from Vancouver sits second in NCAA scoring this year. He's part of a group led by 3 teammates with NHL experience, forwards Owen Beck and Fraser Minton, and defenseman Tristan Luneau, set to compete at the Under-20 Showcase, the World Juniors, in Sweden beginning Boxing Day. I'm going to read off the names of who made the team. Owen Allard, Easton Cowan, Nate Danielson, Jordan Dumais, Connor Geeky, Carson Rakoff, Matthew Savoy, Matthew Wood, Braden Yager round out the forward group. The cuts were Denver Barkey, Jagger Furcus, Paul Ledwinski, and Marcus Vidicek. The defensemen are these: Oliver Bonk, Jake Furlong, Maverick Lamoureux, Denton Matejchuk, Tanner Molendijk, and Noah Warren. The cuts from the blue line were Michael Buchinger, Jorian Donovan, and Ty Nelson. The 3 goalies are Samuel St. Hilaire, Scott Ratzlaff, and Mathis Russo. The goalie cut was Dominic De Vincentes. That's all we'll talk about it, because I will say this. I know it's huge, very huge in Canada. Chris from the Bronx said to me, when you talk that junior hockey, man, you lose me. So I get that, but that's why we push it all into our World Junior Special, which will air Boxing Day, and then I believe re-air on the 28th. We got Craig Button lined up for that. We got the voice of the Moose Jaw Warriors, James Gallo, and other special guests lined up for that particular program. So that's any thought. I mean, we covered this right off the top. I think why I got stung by this or missed it was I was expecting cuts in the morning. They never used to do this. Yeah, I know we got to speed up. And as a matter of fact, we talked about this. If we want to, we'll talk about it next hour if anybody cares. CFL news: Canadian wide receiver Tyson Philpott, who caught the game-winning pass in the Grey Cup, has signed a 1-year contract extension with the Montreal Alouettes. Stanford Cardinal receiver Alec Manor is the 2023 John Cornish Trophy winner. The 6'2", 200-pound sophomore from Medicine Hat captured the honor Wednesday. The awards presented annually to the top Canadian playing NCAA football, and it's named after John Cornish, the Stampeders great. Again, A.O. Manor from Medicine Hat. And the Hamilton Tiger Cats have re-signed Canadian offensive lineman Brandon Revenberg to a 2-year contract. The 30-year-old from Essex, Ontario, was set to become a free agent in February. I wanted to spend some time on this topic, Darren. I said I had some thoughts on Draymond Green. You wouldn't believe it that I would, but I do. Here's the story. The NBA has handed down its punishment for Golden State Warriors forward Draymond Green. He's been suspended indefinitely by the league less than a day after he hit Phoenix Suns center Yusuf Nurkic in the face. The suspension began immediately, and the league says Draymond Green will have to complete several steps to be reinstated. So this morning, it gives me show content when I'm running on the treadmill, either watching SportsCenter on ESPN or listening to ESPN radio. And I want your take on this, because the hosts, again, this is why I think I was put on this planet in this role, given this platform. They didn't know what they were talking about. I don't know Draymond Green from Adam, just watched him play games, but they're upset that he's suspended and he gets to still practice with the team. I guess he's got court-ordered, or not, league-ordered, not court-ordered, there's a difference, NBA-ordered therapy and counseling sessions. And the host of the show, Evan Cohen, says counseling's not going to help him. He's never going to change. What do you think I thought? Ding! You're wrong, because I changed. So as long as I did, I will think anybody can. And 2, Chris Canty, football guy, former Dallas Cowboy, he goes, he thinks it's BS that he's going to be allowed to practice while he undergoes this therapy and counseling. And I'm like, when I was undergoing it, after serving a 1-day suspension, I convinced my bosses that I needed to be on the air. I can do this. But the best thing for me is to be on the air, and I'll go through the therapy, the counseling, whatever you mandate and I'll get better, but don't take me off the air, because that was best for me. And they agreed. So I went through all of that, and nobody knew. Or at least my family knew, but the public didn't know. And I'm not saying every player should go through that, but that's what I needed. So who are they to say that Draymond Green shouldn't be allowed to practice while he undergoes this? The fact that he's missing it, it's about the embarrassment of being suspended as much, more than how long the suspension is or how he goes through getting over it. That's my thoughts. You?
Yeah, everybody's different in what they need. And, the goal here, it's not really to punish Draymond Green, right? He's a star. He's a personality. Everybody who talks about conversations they have with him say that they're engaging and they want to have more Draymond Green. Good person, all the rest of that. But the behavior and the stuff that's happening on the court is getting out of control. He's grabbing opponents by the neck. He's, stuff with LeBron, this incident. It's becoming too frequent. So it's not about punishing him. It's about rehabilitating, getting rid of the behaviors that are problems and getting the good Draymond Green back on the court. So whatever's best to achieve that is what they need to do. And if they think keeping him with his team, practicing, plus therapy is what's best, then who are we to say it's not?
And that's my point. These guys, how many times have I said to you, these guys on these shows are fantastic. It's ESPN, for the love of God. But I'm like, you guys need to slow your roll when it comes to discipline, therapy, counseling, and recovery, because you don't know what you're talking about. So those are my thoughts on that, and thanks for coming to my TED Talk. By the way, Jason in Red Deer writes in from the Puck and Pigskin podcast that he says, forgive the dumb question, but why is Connor Bedard not on the World Junior team? I'll forgive it immediately, Jason, because that's big balls by you to ask that question, to have the courage to ask it. It's okay. No dumb questions here. But Connor Bedard has been there, done that. I did just talk to Craig Button about it yesterday. He set the all-time record for points by a World Junior for Canada, for anybody, ever. He's got back-to-back gold medals. He done. Bye. See ya. There's no need for him to go. And nobody would argue that. See you in hour 2, Moose.
Later.
Scott Laughlin joins us next. Love this guy from SiriusXM NHL Radio. Right after this brief pause, we are live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning brand graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Talking hockey in paradise. Our team's on the road tonight. Panthers at Vancouver, where Bobby Lou will be honored by the Canucks, and the Lightning are at the Oilers. Joining us to talk NHL is our guy Scott Laughlin. He doesn't know it, but I feel like I talk to him every day because I hear him every day on Sirius XM NHL Radio. Scotty, welcome to the program. Please finish this sentence for me. The best NHL team in Canada is blank, and why?
Well, the best NHL team in Canada right now, if we're going off recency bias, Rod, I think has to be the Edmonton Oilers. It's not going to be reflected in the standings as of yet, but they are the hottest team in Canada right now. As we speak, 8 straight victories. After tonight, they could be back into a playoff spot. It's somewhat remarkable to think that, but with Arizona coming back and Edmonton surging, it might just be a matter of time. So, look, I think Chris Knobloch took over the Edmonton Oilers at exactly the right time. I think we knew that they've got way too much talent to be floundering like they were. Stuart Skinner looks like the all-star he once was, and I think you add it all up. And right now, the team that's playing the best team right now in Canada, I think the Edmonton Oilers.
How about that? Because I said the Jets, Darren said Vancouver, and he's in Toronto. You'd get an argument from Leafs fans who just spanked the Rangers. How nice is it to actually be able to have a debate around this? That's pretty nice.
Yeah, it really is. And look, I think Winnipeg has come out and they've proven, to your point too, Rod, that they're going to be a contender in the Central Division. I'm not sure that we thought that coming into the campaign. I thought we thought it was going to be Colorado and Dallas, or Dallas and Colorado, and then the race would be on for third. I think many people, including yours truly, had Minnesota finishing third because that's what they do. Minnesota gets 100 points. They get to the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Their bugaboo, like the Toronto Maple Leafs so often, of course, has been getting out of the first round. But Minnesota's that type of team as well. They're going to be heard from. But right now, to your point, Winnipeg's been very, very good. I think just based upon who's playing the best right now, though, over the last couple of weeks in particular, it's that team up there from Northern Alberta.
Just to go off the board for a moment, you spend so much time on the air with Mike Johnson. I actually tweeted at you, and we found out that his dad's from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. How does this guy... Listen, you and I flip the mic. We do our thing every day, and we go to bed in our own bed every night. This guy's everywhere. How does he do it? How does he... Is there 3 of them?
Well, I tell you what, yeah, he's getting ready to go over to Gothenburg, Sweden to cover the World Junior Hockey Championship once again so well for TSN. You're right. I've said this to Mike before. I said, you must be traveling as much now as you did when you were playing in the National Hockey League, right? We know how it is. You're on the road for half the season. You get home, and I don't want to speak for Mike, but I know from my personal standpoint, if you're on the road for so long, you come back, it's an adjustment. There's no doubt adjustment from many different standpoints. So, look, I'm proud of him. He's great to listen to. He knows his hockey. Very, very smart guy from Bowling Green, as he often reminds us. And you're right, he's been an Ironman. There's no question about it. Look forward to hearing his World Junior coverage once again.
Well, one thing I appreciate is a work ethic. He's got it, you have it, but I just can't believe how much this guy works. By the way, the World Juniors does not have a Connor Bedard this year. What's your excitement level, 1 to 10, going into the tournament, as opposed to, say, the last few years?
Well, it's always a 10 for me. I know there's no Connor Bedard. I heard you talking about it a little bit earlier, and you're right. He's been there and done that, 23 points in 7 games, and doing what he did with that highlight reel goal when Canada needed most going back to last year's tournament. So you don't have that guy, but you do have Macklin Celebrini. And Max Celebrini, yesterday in that pre-tournament game against the U Sports All-Stars, he was the best player on the ice for Team Canada. So you've got him, the prospective top overall pick, of course, at the draft in Vegas coming up in June of 24. You've got him to look forward to. I was a little concerned, Rod. I'm not sure what your level of concern is, but they lost to the U Sports All-Stars yesterday, 6-1. This game was in doubt up until the third period. They gave up 4 unanswered goals in the third period. Now, granted, there were a handful of guys that didn't play for Canada in that game that eventually will be playing for Canada when push comes to shove over in Sweden. But usually, those games are competitive at the very least. I would say the fact that they were beaten soundly, Celebrini getting the lone goal for Canada, a little bit concerning. So let's hope that once they get back to playing against players their own age, that Canada is going to be much better off.
Yeah, well, they don't have Bedard. They don't have Owen Power. They don't have NHL caliber players that we've seen the last few years. So we'll see. It's just not the same. But we rely on TSN to tell us who these people are. That's what's wonderful about the World Juniors. Right now, I got one for you. You said you were a day one guy at SiriusXM NHL Radio. Am I right on that?
That's right. I was at XM Radio, and then years later, XM merged with Sirius. But we started off, Rod, and we were called NHL Home Ice when we first started off, around 05, 06, coming off that work stoppage.
Okay, so the reason I ask that, and I should have known because when those satellite radios came out, I was at the door of Peterbilt Trucking in Regina. I knew they were selling them. I was beating on the door the first day they had them because I wanted to get it, and I've never... I should have bought that deal, $500 lifetime. But I didn't have $500. So I've spent thousands subscribing since. Anyways, I want your take on this as a guy that's been on that channel for so long. Ovi, you saw his quote that him and Sid saved the NHL. And I saw him get soundly dumped on for that. And I'm like, I don't think he's wrong. Let's think about where the NHL was at that time. I'm sure you guys debated it on the air, but your thoughts on Alex Ovechkin saying him and Sid saved the NHL when they came in.
Yeah, look, I understand what he's trying to say. Just like, Larry Bird and Magic Johnson coming out when they did save the NBA, so to speak. I think when it comes to the National Hockey League, Rod, my take has always been the brand has always been strong. The league has always been strong. The Shield's always been strong. I think that they gave it a much-needed boost at that time. I think that they enhanced the NHL. I don't necessarily think that they saved it. I think that, with all due respect, you've got Sid and you've got Ovi, but there are always going to be these generational type talents, thankfully, that our sport produces. And whether that's, Connor McDavid or Austin Matthews or whomever, I think that they came around at the right time. I also think that they entered the NHL, Rod, at a time where the league looked at the product on the ice and said, look, we've got to change some things here. There's too much hooking, holding, and obstruction going on a nightly basis. We want to open this thing up. We want to see players' skills come to the fore. And I think with that clampdown on obstruction and hooking and holding and all the power plays initially that were given out in 05, 06, and 07 before the players came around and adjusted, I think that really enhanced the NHL as well. So I don't think the two players saved the NHL. I think the brand is too strong and it's been too big for too long. But I think they really did give it the boost that it needed back then. And if nothing else, when you talk about Crosby and Ovechkin, they enhanced the NHL. Let's just put it that way.
Of course. Well, and as this is the one thing I've never figured out. You're not supposed to say these things, and as you know, in hockey, we're supposed to be modest and humble and demure, and most guys are, but you got Ovi say that, and it's got a great talking point, and I don't necessarily think he's wrong. But on the point of Sid, I saw Pittsburgh come through here last week, and although they didn't win, Panthers did, Sid still got it, man. He's still got it. How long do you think he's going to play?
Well, we were just talking about that this morning on our program, Rod. I mean, they're eligible to give him a contract extension, to talk extension with him coming up next summer. And again, I've always said about Crosby, the worst thing that happened to Crosby was the fact he was born on August the 7th, right? So he's got to wear 87 on the back of his sweater. He's got to make 8.7 on the AAV. I said the only thing that went wrong for Crosby was the fact that he wasn't born in September or October. Because theoretically speaking, maybe he'd earn a little bit more money along the way. But in all seriousness, I mean, the guy's, 36 now, 3 points in Montreal at the Bell Center last night. He's on pace to score 50 goals this season, Rod. 50 goals, 94 points for a 36-year-old Crosby, Sid the Kid. I tell you what, this guy's still got a lot more left to give. The fact that Ovi's stuck on 5 goals this season to me is shocking, even at his age. But Crosby shows no signs of slowing down. He's been the one constant in an inconsistent season so far for the Pittsburgh Penguins, who are starting to come around, perhaps after a middling start, to say the least. They're trying to find some consistency. Maybe back-to-back wins gets it done. I'll be interested to see what his extension looks like coming up as early as next summer.
Well, this is what I say, and you and I look at things, I think, fairly the same, at least from what I hear of you. I think you do. You hear all this buzz and junk and crap on social media, and even the analysts on TV. It's just talk. Watch the games. That's all you got to do, is watch the games and make your own opinion. And Sid is still all that. That's all I'm saying.
No, I don't disagree. I think he's had a fabulous season. If he keeps it up at this point, maybe he's a dark horse Hart Trophy candidate. Wouldn't that be something at the advanced age he's at right now? Again, it would seem to be unthinkable, but what we've seen in professional sports the last number of years, and obviously when you talk about guys who had longevity and were still great towards the end, you're probably talking about TB12 Tom Brady above everybody else. But the fact that he could still be a star at this age, 36 or so, is really a credit to him, not only to his talent, his God-given ability, but the fact that he's in tremendous shape and that work ethic, as we say, that fourth-line work ethic for a guy who's going to be a first-ballot Hockey Hall of Famer. It's almost an unbeatable combination, I think.
Fun to watch. Scott, I always treasure our chats with you. Keep it up, my man. Merry Christmas and enjoy the hockey. Thanks for the time.
Same to you, Rod. Thank you very much.
Sirius XM's NHL Radio, Scott Laughlin. Back with a sports update and audience takeover right after this. We're live on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult, because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
We're going to jump into a sports update right now for our friends at Common Crown Brewing in Calgary and Landmark Cinemas all across Canada. Breaking news on this Thursday, two sponsors who previously pulled support for Hockey Canada when it was embroiled in scandal last year say they are backing the organization again. Fast food chain Tim Hortons and telecommunications firm TELUS say they have reinstated their support for Hockey Canada, which they withdrew when the organization was accused of mishandling sexual assault complaints. Tim's spokesperson Michael Oliveira says the chain made it clear it would only reinstate funding for Canada's men's teams when they regain the confidence of Canadians. He says Tim's reinstated its support because it appears Hockey Canada has made substantial progress toward that goal under new leadership. How about that? Good news.
How about that?
Way to go, Hockey Canada. Way to go, Tim Hortons and TELUS. The Vancouver Canucks will honor ex-goalie Roberto Luongo before their game against the Florida Panthers tonight. Luongo will have his name installed in the team's Ring of Honor, but will not have his number retired. He spent part of 8 seasons with the Canucks and now works with the Panthers front office. Sports update brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. And for Landmark Cinemas, in theaters now, Landmark Cinemas' Silent Night from legendary director John Woo and the producer of John Wick comes this gritty revenge tale of a tormented father who witnesses his young son die when caught in a gang's crossfire on Christmas Eve. Silent Night redefines the action genre with visceral, thrill-a-minute storytelling. Check it out. Tell me what you think. I went. It was pretty wild. I'll tell you to go, but go with an open mind. Hey, last minute of play in hour 1. Moose will be with us in hour 2, and yesterday we taped our Cats and Bolts podcast on the Panthers and Lightning, and we've been trying to cram in as many Panthers alumni as we can, and we've had quite a few. Bill Lindsay, not Bob, he's still playing. Dale Talon, Ed Jovanovski, Jeff Chikrin, and I asked for Roberto Luongo, and the person I was dealing with the Panthers was like, he's a goalie. I'm like, so what? So am I. Which, by the way, you never were. You always are a goalie. Yeah, he doesn't like doing interviews, and he's he's busy now. He's on the hockey ops side. I said, hey, I get it. It was like Mike Vernon in Calgary. He's weird. He's a goalie. We got to stop giving the club a bad name. Hour 2 coming up right after this brief pause on Game Plus and WQEE Radio.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
People were just pawing at Chris Jones, just pawing at him. You know, he's trying to put his roast beef on. He's trying to scoop his mashed potatoes. He's trying to get his peas and carrots because this is a typical Saskatchewan meal. And he's like smiling. Oh, yeah, we're going to be good. We're going to be a good one. Yeah, we're going to be chopping wood. Coffee turned around and goes, you're going to get tired of that crap real fast. And Jones is like, nope, just like home. Nope, just like home.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Yes, guilty as charged. Welcome to the RP Show, Hour 2. As you can see, if you are watching on Game Plus Television or YouTube, we are live in South Florida where it's very windy. Light drizzle, the forecast says. So I moved the set over a little bit out of the wind. Darren is inside in Toronto, ready to talk sports again here in Hour 2. He has his Jets jacket on. That's Winnipeg, not New York. As it pertains to Canada's top team in the National Hockey League. I can't believe that it's created this much debate, but that's what we created this show for. It's been a lot of fun. You still say Vancouver, right? Canada's best NHL team, if I have that right? Okay. I say it's the Winnipeg Jets, and I believe it. Winnipeg people know me well enough to know that I'm going to say it, what I think, whether you like it or not. Kevin, the medium, who works in our sales department, has said Vancouver. And last hour, we had Scott Laughlin join us from Sirius XM NHL Radio, and he said Edmonton. I'm like, what the? None of you said the Leafs. So were you just trying to not jinx the Buds, or what? Or do you not think they're the best team in Canada?
Well, I think, honestly, between Winnipeg, Edmonton, Toronto, Vancouver, I think the line is so razor thin right now. I think you could put them in the Yahtzee Cup, throw the dice out, and make a compelling argument for each one of those 4 teams to be the best team in Canada. I would think the Oilers probably are the odd team out just because they're not in they had the rough part to start to the year, but they're on their way to being at the top of that list too. So it's a 4-team race in Canada.
Yeah, coming up later on this hour, by the way, we will have our NHL top 5, bottom 5. And I'm looking forward to bringing that to everybody for Bet Regal. We'll see if Moose agrees or not, and the viewers and audience. By the way, just to recap where we were an hour ago, for those that just joined us in hour 2, we talked about NHL leftovers last night. Pittsburgh winning in a shootout at Montreal. Sid the Kid, was he tying or passing Mark Recchi for, I think it's 13th all-time points in the NHL. It was a big night for him. Jets won, big comeback at the LA Kings, and that's why I have them as the best team. They won 3 or 4 games on that Western trip. Jets are hot, man. Just don't tinker with it and screw it up. Talked about Canada's World Junior team was announced last night. The cuts were made last night. It came out across the wire at 8 p.m. Eastern, which is new. Again, it caught me off guard because, as I know, for 100 years, it was, we're not making the cuts at night. We make them first thing in the morning. It was a sports thing. It wasn't just Hockey Canada and a World Junior thing. It's like, don't cut a player at night. In retrospect, is that how much life and society has changed, Darren? Because it would be like, don't fire somebody at night. Don't dump somebody at night. Don't tell somebody you need a divorce at night because they might go do something dangerous. What the hell would stop him from doing something stupid first thing in the morning? What's the night got to do with it? But that was always the thing. Canada wouldn't cut the guys at night because they were afraid they were going to do something and harm themselves.
I feel like, though, they didn't want to wake up the kids anymore with that death knock on the door that, hey, pack your stuff. It's time to go home. Wipe the sleep out of your eyes and don't cry because you're out of here. You know, like they would do it in the morning. Now it's just such a non-factor, you know. Games, the second game against the U Sports is over. We deliberate for an hour. Boom, cuts are in. You're out. And that's it. Moving on. And they just make it not a big deal. Whereas, you know, there's a human element to this, right? So it does suck to get cut. You don't want to make the players feel bad. But it used to be that every little thing, getting together, selecting the pre-tournament camp roster, making the cuts, every single one of those things was treated like the biggest deal. And that's what built up the World Juniors into what it is.
Yeah, well, I understand things change and so forth, but they don't want to make a big deal out of who was cut. Like, literally, who cares? I'll just say this. When I was at the Cadillac dealership in Delray Beach today, the valet there, yes, they have a valet at the Cadillac dealership, but he said his 2 kids in their 20s live at home with him. And I said, well, ain't that something? I said, I left home at 17, but I wanted to leave home at 17. It wasn't like I was kicked out. I didn't want to live with my parents anymore. And Serena was the exact same thing. And he goes, well, it forces you to grow up fast. And I said, yes, it did. And he goes, I told my kids, you're not ready for prime time. So just the way that it is now compared to the way that it was then. And I'll only say this before we move on and take a look toward tonight's games. I can't believe how much people care about who is the best Canadian NHL team on December 14th, because it doesn't matter. I equate it to the college football playoff announcement, the semifinals of the top 4 teams, Washington, Alabama, Texas, and Michigan. Darren, they're still talking about it. How long has it been? It's been almost 2 weeks since they announced the top 4, the semifinal in college football, and they're still talking about it. And the reason I bring up today is Kirk Herbstreit, the ESPN college guru, just told FSU, Florida State fans, to shut up. It's the top 4 teams right now. And he goes, I didn't have you in the top 4 even before your quarterback got hurt. What don't you get? But it's the whining and it's the incessant crying. Here's me complaining about complainers. This is why you don't hear me complain, Darren. Did I ever tell you this? If I complained as a kid, whack. And that is a fact. Serena and I were talking about that the other day. You don't like what's for supper? Guess you're not eating then. One of Serena's friends said, I'm just waiting for my kids to tell me what they want for supper. She was like, what? I don't know what it was like in your house. Ate it. So.
Yeah, we weren't ordering off the menu.
Yeah. John and Edmonton, don't be that guy. How many times, Clark, as the over-under that John Kirby's going to tell us the CFL schedule's out? It's come out while we're on the air. We'll talk about it tomorrow. I haven't even had a chance I haven't even opened it, John, in Edmonton. Stand down, please. Football Friday, we'll go through with it tomorrow. Now, with our Bet Regal official betting partner that we have here, we got 3, 6, 8 games in the NHL tonight. They're big NHL supporters, Bet Regal. And they love when we talk about our top 5, bottom 5 in the NHL. And they love when we talk about our Week 15 NFL games, which we're going to do tomorrow. We could go through here right now, and maybe we will. Who do we think is going to win tonight in the NHL? We could literally spend 2 hours a day previewing that night's NHL games, because I wonder about this. Blue Jackets at the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight. The Leafs coming home after having their way with the previously anointed #1 team in the NHL, the New York Rangers. They schooled them the other night. What do you expect out of the Columbus? Columbus is terrible. They're terrible. There should be a laugher tonight. What do you think?
It should be, but you're talking about a team that you have said, right, plays as good as they have to. Steps up when they need to. When you look at Columbus coming across your schedule, you kind of sit there and think, we don't have to play very hard. We're going to beat these guys. These guys are brutal.
Yeah.
And the problem is it's going to end up being a close, tight game because they won't take care of business. I just can foreshadow this, right? So I think this is a great test to, play 60 minutes and prove to everybody where you belong in the standings and how much better you are than Columbus. And you really should be able to have your way with them, but I'll, wait and see what happens tonight.
Well, the over-under is set at 6.5 goals tonight. And while to me that seems like a lot, they scored 10. It was 7-3 Leafs at the Rangers the other night. So 6.5 might not be that much. And that's a whole other thing. I don't know. I'm not an NHL scout or personnel person, but how many teams carry 3 goalies? Because the other night they got Martin Jones in net. They got Samsonov on the bench and Joseph Woll's hurt. Is that a year-long thing? Seems like they always have 3 guys around, even when Matt Murray was hurt last year. Looks like you have some intelligence on that.
No, well, I mean, they try not to, but I think injuries have forced them into having 3 goaltenders. And I think that's one of the reasons the Leafs brought in Martin Jones, to make sure you have depth at that position. And no greater example than what Vegas went through last year. They were down to their 6th goalie by the time they hoisted the Stanley Cup, in Adin Hill. So you have to have goaltending depth now and deal with injuries. And Samsonov hasn't been able to play consistently and stay healthy. And now this tough injury to Woll has forced Martin Jones to become the guy.
And they won 7-3. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
902-518-3033 is the number to write us here for Sober Carpenter, non-alcoholic craft beers, 902-518-3033. Ask for it by name at your favorite beer, wine, and spirit store. There you go. Or you can write in on the streaming as well. Washington at Philadelphia, Carolina at Detroit. The Calgary Flames are at Minnesota. Interesting discussion we had the other day between you and I. You think the Flames, you said they have the talent to still make the playoffs. Do you think they're going to make the playoffs, Calgary? Because I just don't. We're not even at the halfway mark, not even close to the halfway mark, but I don't see the Calgary Flames winning the playoffs, and quite frankly, I don't see them winning at Minnesota tonight.
I just don't know, but I'm going to say yes. I'm still optimistic that the Flames can get into the playoffs. Because I look back at, we keep comparing them to Florida because Paul Maurice with a new team, Ryan Huska with a new team, and what Florida did as the season went on. I think the longer that Ryan Huska is there this year, the more together the team will get, the better they will get. So I anticipate them to get better in the back half of the season and sneak into the playoffs. But like I said this early, it's going to be a long season of ups and downs and your heart rate going crazy and your blood pressure for Flames fans. I don't envy them because you'll never be comfortable and just be able to kick your feet up.
I'll pause the discussion for a minute. That's what's fun about this show. I elicited or solicited, however you want to say it. Text messages 902-518-3030-33. Natasha in Winnipeg has written in all caps. She says the CFL schedule is out. Let's talk about it. Can we at least, please, push it to next segment so I can at least look at the schedule? Because, for one, I get disappointed. And maybe this is a realistic expectation of mine. Like, again, what I tell you the other day, I don't have expectations anymore of anybody, so I don't get disappointed. Or I don't get disappointed. Every year I expect to hear some sort of schedule release party, some sort of chutzpah, pizzazz around the CFL schedule, and every year I get disappointed. So I'm not really thinking about it. I know everybody's going crazy about it. I get it. Your summer plans. Maybe you're going to buy Christmas season tickets now because the schedule's out, but I would have liked to have seen a little more pizzazz than it's slipping into our inbox on a Thursday at 1 p.m. You know what, like, please, can we have a little imagination? I'm sorry. It's how I feel. Jeff, the Stamps fan, regarding the Flames, writes in and says, I remember Ed Whalen once saying during a live broadcast, 1984, 1985, Mike Vernon, if you're watching, get down to the Saddledome. The Flames need you. That's fantastic. I don't think right now the Calgary Flames need a goaltender, but they need something. And by the way, I'll get to your comments from people in a second. I don't know what the hell's going in. I got to be careful. I got to take a break here and probably go do a quick little meditation in the commercial break, or I'm going to lose my spit. But what do they call it? The Ed Whalen Media Lounge in the Saddledome? The Peter Maher broadcast booth. Just legendary things. 40 years later, Jeff the Stamps fan remembers Ed Whalen saying, Mike Vernon, if you're watching, get down to the Saddledome. Serena said this other day, with regards to current NHL announcers, you know the Dodge family, our good friends. She goes, let's go ask Blake and Brad. They're big Lightning fans because of their dad. If they can name 2 announcers on national television of NHL broadcasts in the United States. Just think about it. And it's different than in Canada. Everybody knows Chris Cuthbert. Everybody knows certain guys. But there ain't an Ed Whalen around anymore. And when John Lynch passed away at 86, the former voice of the Rough Riders, I'm like, where's the next ones? Where are the next ones? And I know it's kind of a rhetorical question, Darren, because I don't think you have an answer for that. I would have struggled to get the national guys on ESPN, let alone the Dodge kids. Why did they kill those guys? Darren, tell me. I'm not going away without an answer.
When I hear that, you know how my mind works. I think opportunity, right? That there's an opportunity for somebody to come along. But there's a difference between those guys with personality and somebody with just a random shtick or a catchphrase. Those guys had true personality, distinct, and not even like, the funny lines. Look at Jim Hewson, the commanding voice. Bob Cole with how he, illustrated and narrated the drama of the game, and there's very few guys and girls that step up in whatever role they're in and own it and have personality. And when they're on, it's them, right? When you can remember them by name or by voice and be like, so-and-so is back on, you know what I mean? And it makes you feel good. I think it's missing, but I also think it's an opportunity for somebody to step up.
John says, Ed Whalen was awesome. Those quotes and voice, amazing. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, you're the next one, Rod. No, I don't think so. I laughed when we had John Shannon on here weeks ago, and he was like, Rod, back in yours in my heyday. I'm like, I thought I was still in my heyday. Oh, Thanks for the update. No, Darren said it, though. They don't like you to have a personality, and they don't like you to have an opinion. And unfortunately, I've got too much of both. When we come back, we've got our NHL top 5, bottom 5 coming up. We will have a look at the CFL schedule. It slid into our inbox here as we've been on the air an hour or two. And Julie Robenheimer coming up a little later on. You know her. You love her. Days Gone By, USA Hockey, Elite Prospects, Sirius XM NHL Radio. Now, JulieRobenheimer.com. We'll be right back on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
All right, welcome back to the RP Show, everybody. It is episode number 1142, and we are live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, of course, daily, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live. Don't mind me, I'm just updating ye old website, rodpeterson.com. Let's bring in the Moose. Here we go. Listen, if you just can't get enough of us, and I don't know why or how you couldn't, you can go to rodpeterson.com daily and read the commentary. We've got all the news that I'd like to be able to fit into this show and can't, like the major junior scores, the NLL scores and stuff. It's all there, and I'm just updating the CFL schedule. And I'll say this, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. 902-518-3033 if you want to write in with whatever you'd like to talk about. A lot of the CFL fans are excited, and they should be, that the schedule was released something about 20 minutes ago. And I got the information here, and I'm going to read from that in a second. But 902-518-3033. Sober Carpenter brings you our CFL coverage, our text line, and you can find them at your favorite beer, wine, and spirit store. We've heavily covered the NHL story from last night, and I think what's going on tonight. I got my robe ready, the crown handy, and we're not getting out of this segment without doing the NHL top 5, bottom 5, because I want to do it, which reminds me, Darren, it is, if you forgot, the Rod Pedersen Show. And I told you I was talking to Hurricane Huber the other day, the owner and operator of Cat Country 98. You know what he told me about my commentary and this show? I know I told you, but I'm going to rhetorically ask you. You know what he told me?
What's that?
Do you remember what he said? Talk about whatever the hell you want. That's the kind of boss that I want to work for. I said, Hurricane, exactly. I'll go through a wall for you. So I think he's got my report running like 4 or 5 times a day, my commentary. And today, I believe it's about Tommy Cutlets DeVito and the Giants. So anyways, streaming, text line, here we go. The CFL will kick off its 2024 schedule with a Grey Cup rematch. The Grey Cup champion Montreal Alouettes will open the campaign visiting the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on June 6th. The Alouettes defeated the Bombers 28-24 in this year's final as Tiger Cats head coach the following night as Hamilton faces the Calgary Stampeders at McMahon Stadium. The game could also feature the return of veteran quarterback Bo Levi to the Alberta City. I will guarantee you this. I can say this with every fiber of my being. We're the only ones on the air talking about this right now. We're the only ones. So we're either crazy or way ahead of our time. History will judge that. We don't know right now the answer. Bo Levi, of course, after that last playoff game in Hamilton, said it looked like his days are done. I also will continue this story, Darren, before I get your thoughts on the viewers. The opening week of the 2024 season will feature Saskatchewan facing the Edmonton Elks at Commonwealth Stadium on June 8th. In Corey Mace's debut as Rough Riders head coach, and the Argos will entertain the BC Lions at BMO Field June 9th, and the Ottawa Red Blacks, after an opening week bye, will host Winnipeg on June 13th. So, and Montreal will raise its championship banner June 20th before its home game against Ottawa. So I'm afraid you got to break some eggs to make an omelet. If you're going to turn around the Titanic, you're going to hit a few icebergs. If I'm going to hurt some feelings here, I don't care. We're big CFL fans, there's no doubt. I'm highly disappointed that there was nothing more than a news release really to announce the new season coming out and the schedule release. So there's that. And there was a guy here, you met him at Grey Cup, Colin from Ottawa, watches this show daily. He writes in and he says, here's Craig Campbell from the Hockey Hall of Fame says, you are way ahead of your time. I think so. And I think I'll be dead by the time everybody figures that out. That's the thing that scares the hell out of me. But Colin says, we are a loud and passionate bunch. Yeah, CFL honks can't keep quiet. There you go. So there you go. The schedule's out. I'm disappointed today. I am. That there's not more than this. Is it too much to ask?
I don't know. Because I hate to sit here and criticize. It's not, it doesn't make me feel good.
You don't have to. I'm doing it.
No, but, I don't disagree. Like, I'd like to see more. And thing is, I got a ton of ideas. Like, you didn't have, I understand the NFL gets all the teams, they get the videos, they do, fun stuff. They know the schedule far in advance so that they can plan and shoot these things, and it's fun. CFL could do that. Or you could, it's Christmas time. Do the 12 days of Christmas, and each day reveal a different game leading out to the full schedule release, I mean, the main points, we didn't know about the Grey Cup rematch, but that's typically always happens pretty early in the year. We knew there was going to be a balanced schedule, so that's not news. That was announced at Grey Cup, and that's really exciting. You're going to see every player or every team come to your stadium at least once. So those are all really good things. We knew that was going to happen. Playoff Saturdays, we knew that was coming. So what are you really telling us here except making sure that you get your tickets available so people can buy them for Christmas? That's really all you're doing, which is still good, but it's just, it could be so much better, and it's not.
And I do hear it a lot. Craig Campbell's checking in, as I said, from the Hockey Hall of Fame. He's a hockey guy, an NHL guy, but he's an Argos fan, maybe first and foremost. So he spends enough time here in the States to get that they say the same thing about the NHL, that they could do so much better. And maybe that's true. I don't know. I've learned so much in my time here that you would have never, ever thought. And I think it ain't ever going to change, just so you know. Like, spending time in Calgary, we've tried to whip up controversy and stuff, and they're just not having it. I remember in August, wanted to, the Flames or the Stamps were home one night, and the lead story on Global News was that the ice was going in the Saddle Dome. I'm like, really? You're flipping pro football teams playing tonight, and all you guys want to talk about is the ice going in the Saddle Dome. But that's just the way that it is. And I think the football people in Canada are used to it. They don't really care. And here, with the hockey people, it's the reverse. Because I've told you there's a very tiny pocket of hockey people here in South Florida, and I'm so grateful that they've welcomed me into it, and they're now part of our podcast, the Cats and Bolts podcast. But they don't sit and think about it. They don't expect the coverage. They don't whine that the NHL's not talked about on SportsCenter. They don't expect it. And I guess that's the difference. You got Bob Irving in Winnipeg, whom I love. This is not a criticism of Bob, but it's Bob's always complaining that they're leading off with the NFL on SportsCenter and not talking about the CFL playoff game. That not enough people care, Bob. You need to accept it. My point is the NHL in America, they just accept it. They don't care. They go on and do their business. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, things change and evolve and grow, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. I remember, you talk about the ice going in Calgary. I mean, I remember being in Wynyard, and when word got out that the ice was going in at the Wynyard Memorial Arena, it was like Christmas morning. It was like the greatest day. That was a big different news. It is. It's evolved to you mean the ice isn't in all year round? Aren't they playing all year round? What is it a big deal that the ice is going in? That's not a big deal anymore, especially when your pro football team's playing. It's different. It used to be cool. It's not cool anymore. It's not the thing.
Well, I get it. I mean, I'm from a small town. Serena's from a small town. I'm not sure that's the best example to use. Maybe it's the perfect example. I'm not sure. It's a very big day in the small town when the ice goes in. I agree.
Not in Calgary.
And maybe in Calgary, it's a bigger deal than I think that the ice is going in the Saddle Dome and the Stampeders are playing that same night. I don't know. I mean, I spent a lot of time there, but maybe not enough. Wayne in Victoria, BC says, where is the commissioner, Randy Ambrosi? Clearly a rhetorical question because you're asking the wrong two guys. We don't know. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, so what you're saying, Darren, is that the CFL did reveal little by little, similar to your 12 Days of Christmas idea. I feel like he's got that wrong. Do you want to take it?
Well, I mean, it was just at Randy Ambrosi's State of the League address at Grey Cup. It wasn't like little by little leading to a schedule unveiling that we knew was coming on a certain day. Right? Imagine if you did like a 12 Days of Christmas and each day, okay, on the 12th day of Christmas, they gave you a Grey Cup rematch, right? And then you know that on the last day, and you know it's going to be on Friday, the schedule is going to be released. We'd all be excited. We'd all be waiting for it, right? But instead, it's just like, boom, here's the schedule. And you're caught with your pants down, kind of, because you're like not expecting it. Imagine if we knew it was coming today and we could have had it on our thumbnail. We could have told fans, tune in because we're going to be going through the schedule unveiling. No, instead we got
it would have helped us a lot.
Sure. Would have helped the fans.
It would have helped us a lot. We could have had CFL people lined up to come on and analyze the schedule and do a breakdown. But instead, here we are. Surprise.
Yeah.
Colin in Ottawa says ESPN has the U.S. NHL broadcast rights, and you never hear about the league on First Take. Stephen A. and company just don't care about stick and puck. No, they don't, Colin, but my point is that in America, the NHL people and the hockey people have just accepted it. They don't complain and bitch about it every day, like CFL fans in Canada about the coverage of their league. And FYI, it's only going to get worse. It's what I've been trying to tell you for ages. With Yahoo shutting down its Canadian sports department is the worst possible thing for the CFL and, frankly, Canadian NHL teams and whatever other NLL. They're not going to cover Canadian sports. They're just going to pick up whatever's cheap coming out of the States. For easy, cheap for them to post, if you will, in Canada. And that'll be college football. It'll be NFL. And it's interesting. That reminds me, the poll question while we're sitting here. I mean, this game tonight I have like zero interest in. I asked Darren to give me a reason to watch, and he couldn't. It's not a failing on you, by the way. But the poll question is Thursday Night Football tonight. It's brought to you by Key Auto Group. Key Auto Group, driven by safety. Experience peace of mind with our comprehensive multi-point inspections. Visit keyautogroup.ca for automotive excellence. Who will win on Thursday Night Football? Two backup quarterbacks that I could not pick out of a police lineup. Chargers at the Raiders, and 63% say the Raiders will win tonight on Thursday Night Football. Easton Stick, that's his damn name. This quarterback in the Chargers, and Aiden O'Connell or O'Donnell, the Raiders, I don't know him either. But Darren, we didn't do top five, bottom five. You have to come back for overtime, okay? We're going to do it then.
Okay. I'll be back.
Julie Robenheimer joins us next. Hockey analyst. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lacroix. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Six games in the National Hockey League tonight. Our Florida teams are on the road. Panthers at Vancouver. Bobby Lou will be honored there by the Canucks prior to the game. And the Lightning are at the Oilers. Chicago Blackhawks and Connor Bedard at Seattle. And up in that tri-state area, Philadelphia home to Washington. The New York teams are off. Let's welcome in Julie Robenheimer now of julierobenheimer.com, no stranger to the RP Show. Jules, welcome back to the RP Show. And I got to ask you, I just looked at the standings, and I don't know how old you are, and I'm not asking, but I see the Rangers, Islanders, and Flyers all in playoff spots, and I'm thinking, what is it, 1987? It's good times up there.
Yeah, it's definitely good times, but more than anything, the Metro is just wild. There are so many close games, and the teams themselves are so close together. You can't just win one game in the Metro. You need to go on like a 4-game, 5-game winning streak in order to get any kind of separation or traction within the division.
Which, interestingly enough, the Islanders have. And I just wonder, what's caught you the most off guard by all of this? And we've got to be mindful that we're not even at the halfway point mark, but apparently that doesn't matter. Let's just go goo goo gaga with what's happened. What surprised you the most?
I think the most surprising part is that it's been completely unpredictable. You know, I mean, last week, Islanders fans were calling for Lane Lambert's head. They wanted him gone, like yesterday. And then they pull it together and they're like, okay, he's not so bad. We'll keep him. So it's one of those things where, you know, you were just talking about how fans don't care about whether their team is on TV or not, or at least from a national perspective. They definitely care if they're winning or not. You know, the fans in Ottawa are pretty much irate. The fans in Philly don't believe what they're seeing. They definitely think this is a figment of their imagination and that the Flyers are going to tank the rest of the season, which, I mean, granted, it is a possibility. But I sit there and I say, embrace it for what it is, enjoy it for what it is. Every game at this point for a Metropolitan team is important. Like, it is significant. It is a huge, huge swing. You've got 4 teams tied at 31 points. You've got something like 7 teams within 4 or 5 points of each other. Like, you can swing in one night. In one night, you can swing from like 2nd in the division to like 5th out of the playoffs. It's crazy.
Well, and the winner's the fans, and it feels like playoff hockey come early. But I got to ask you this about Philly, and I know you've told me the story about your parents and your upbringing and on how they got together and stuff. Flyers, Devils, who's more in your heart? Are they even? Who's ahead of whom in that? Those two.
Funny, I actually just had a conversation about this last night. I was at the Devils game and somebody asked me that, and I am a non-discriminant hockey fan. Like, I will watch any game, any team. It doesn't matter to me, as long as it's a good game and an entertaining game. I'm happy as a clam. So, I mean, I did grow up watching the Flyers, but I did also work full-time for the Devils. So they both hold a special place in my heart. And I'm not even just saying that. Like, I legitimately enjoy watching both of them. I regularly go to both their games. But I'm just as happy watching anybody else play as well. So I just love
Okay,
hockey.
fair. Both is fine, and I am exactly the same way about the game myself. So, and I know you're following them closely. And here's my question about these Flyers, because I would say out of almost the entire NHL, they're a surprise so far. And we had Brian Propp on last week. He's crediting Daniel Briere. He's crediting a little bit Keith Jones. Not a lot of credit went to Torts from Proper. That's not to say he's all right about everything, but who are you crediting this turnaround to?
Truthfully, I think it's a group effort. I mean, one of the things that I think is so important to remember about this team is that the past 2 years, they have been absolutely plagued by injuries that has absolutely decimated their lineup on both sides of the ice. So when you think about that, they were able to get players like Sean Couturier back, they got Cam Atkinson back. I mean, they may not be lighting the league up, but they are a huge part of their offensive attack. And I give a ton of credit to John Tortorella, because when this team plays hard and they are strong on their puck pursuit, they give themselves a chance to win every single night. And that is directly from John Tortorella. He has figured out a way to get these guys to play with heart and passion and effort and to play for each other. I mean, I think we heard Carter Hart the other night talk about how much they love each other and how much they want to support each other in the locker room, and that it shows in their chemistry on the ice and the commitment that they're willing to play with. So I credit a lot of that to John Tortorella, but I will also say I think Danny Briere and Keith Jones have really enhanced that culture and really brought the team together, not only as like the players on the ice, but as an organization. Like, we are in this together, and we're going to battle through this and do what we can to make this club better each and every day. And they've been committed to their game plan, both like actual game plan on the ice and how they want to win hockey games, but also like how they want to build this organization back to the prominence that it once was, you know, back in the 70s and 80s, and really just deliver for the fans that they're putting forth an effort. Because in Philly, wins or losses, I don't want to say they don't care, because they definitely do, but more so than anything, as long as they feel they are getting the best effort out of this team every night, the fans are going to be happy, and they're going to support them and be excited for them, and want to cheer for them and root them on. And I think that just, you know, perpetuates the snowball, and it gets bigger and bigger, and they just continue rolling.
Well, it's interesting watching the rotating stable of coaches they've had through there. And I talked to a Flyers great, Joe Watson, who was just a little over a year ago, and he was so devastated by how bad the team was, and he didn't see any way out of it. And he was just so discouraged and depressed about the Flyers. And I saw them here a couple years ago on Thanksgiving, night before Thanksgiving, and I'm like, I'm a big Carter Hart fan. It's not a shock to our viewers. They all know. And I felt bad for him. I'm like, this team is so bad. Why is Carter Hart getting all the thing? So then they turn it like this and turn it around. It seems fast from the outside. You've been watching it daily. Probably isn't as fast as it looks to us. But Carter Hart seems to be a new goalie. And isn't that funny how you get to be a lot better of a goalie when guys give a crap in front of you?
Yeah, I mean, that's not surprising at all. What I like about Carter's game is how he has evolved. I mean, obviously, a lot of people want to talk about how this is a contract year for him. And in many respects, it also feels somewhat of an audition for Team Canada in the Olympics, should the NHL participate. So there's no doubt that Carter Hart is putting forth his best effort in what he's doing on the ice. But I think a lot of that goes to the defensive effort in front of him. And that's not only just guys like giving a crap, but that's guys communicating with him so that he can be a better goalie and be in better position. And I feel like that's something that's really changed this year, is just the communication on the ice between him and the defenseman, and just kind of knowing where everybody is and where he wants them to be.
A quick one. Johnny in Winnipeg writes in on the Sober Carpenter text line and says, are we concerned about Ovi? Are you?
No. I mean, what is there to be concerned about? Like, the dude is a legend. So it's one of those things where I have no concerns about Ovi whatsoever. Like, he's an old man. Let's face facts here. So, I mean, yeah, there's the big talk about him being goalless. I think if he goes goalless tonight, it's 10 games, or maybe he's already at 10 games. We're somewhere around that mark. And yeah, okay. It happens. I mean, and it's not even like the Capitals are lighting the world on fire, and everybody else is scoring and he's not. Like, that's not the case either. So yeah, I'm not concerned about Ovechkin at all. He's just fine.
Yeah. Julie, where can people read your stuff and follow you?
Well, you can follow me on Twitter, on social media. I haven't written a lot lately. I've been focusing on actually a travel business that I started for hockey fans to travel around and watch their favorite teams on the road. That basically stemmed from my work in hockey. I was always traveling. And of course, I love to do cool stuff and eat cool stuff and see cool things. And I would always share it on my Instagram, and people started asking if they could come with me. So last season I decided, well, we'll give it a go. And I organized a group trip, and now I seem to be doing a lot more of that. But of course, I still love coming on shows like yours and talking hockey and sharing my love for the game in every way possible.
Well, you have a open invitation here. I will say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Thanks for the time today, and hopefully we can do it again soon.
All right, sounds good. I'll see you in January then.
Awesome. Julie Robenheimer joining us. If that tour ever comes down to South Florida, we'll be here. It's a wonderful place to come watch hockey, especially in the winter. Moose joins us next for Overtime, and we will get to the NHL Top 5, Bottom 5. We are live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Everybody, it's your lucky day because you're joining us just in time for Overtime, brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, where skill and fun collide. But it's also our NHL Top 5, Bottom 5. Let's bring in the Moose, Darren Moose DuPont. Hi, Moose. Thanks for checking in and answering. It wouldn't be anywhere near as fun if I did this on my own. You know what I mean? If I just sat here and read it into the camera.
I got you.
And don't adjust your sets, everyone. The host is wearing a king's robe and crown. Bet Regal brings you our top 5, bottom 5 NHL teams every week. And if you're ready, are you ready, Darren?
Let's go.
Okay, here we go, everybody. It's the NHL Top 5, Bottom 5 for our exclusive and official betting partner, Bet Regal, where we go through the top 5, bottom 5 teams of the National Hockey League. And number 1, I don't think it's to anybody's surprise, it's the Vegas Golden Knights by far, and not just because they're 5 points clear of the number 2 team. Their plus 32 goal differential. Vegas is on their way to repeating as Stanley Cup champions. You heard it here first. Number 2, it's the Boston Bruins, clearly still ticked about last year's playoffs. Don't believe what you read online in the hype. The Bruins are still all that. Number 3 is the New York Rangers. Their .722 winning percentage is the only other team in the 700s. Despite their loss to the Leafs the other night, the Rangers are number 3. The Winnipeg Jets are the number 4 team in the NHL, number 1 in Canada. The Jets, top Canadian team, and they've got more road wins than home wins. How about that? And the 4th team is the Vancouver Canucks. 3 wins in a row, and they just happen to be hosting the game of the night tonight, the Canucks. So 2 Canadian teams in the top 5, and I ain't joshing. The bottom 5 are these, Darren. This is just the bottom 5 of the standings. It's very easy. 28th team is the Columbus Blue Jackets. 29th team, the Ottawa Senators. DJ Smith was not the next coach to be fired. It was Craig Berube, but I don't believe DJ will end the season. He shouldn't. San Jose, the 3rd worst team, 30th overall. The Anaheim Ducks have lost 4 in a row and sunk to 31. They are who we thought they were. The Anaheim Ducks and the Chicago Blackhawks are the worst team in the NHL. And some will say to you, but they're not that bad. Yes, they are. That's your NHL top 5, bottom 5 for Bet Regal. Moose, to recap, Vegas, Boston, New York, Winnipeg, Vancouver. I'm sorry, I don't know where your Kings have gone. They've been your number 1 team. They've slipped from standings-wise, right out of I think they're 6th overall in the NHL. I don't know what's happened to the LA Kings.
Yeah, they're on the outside for me this week, just because they've lost 3 in a row. And when you've lost 3 in a row, you're not one of the top 5 teams in the National Hockey League in the moment. Still pretty good. I mean, prior to that, they were 6-0-1 in their previous 7 games before dropping 3 in a row. But they're out of the top 5. I'm with you. I think the Leafs are a lot closer. Just 1 regulation loss in their last 10 games. So I think they're a lot closer to the top 5. But I agree. I'm with your top 5 right now, looking at it. The other team that's kind of in the middle that we might hear from before long, the Islanders are starting to put together some wins. And they're maybe a top 10 team in the National Hockey League now. So that's interesting for me. But other than that, I'm pretty good with yours this week.
I appreciate that. The bottom 5, it's not, I didn't take the easy way out. I just think the bottom 5 teams are an accurate representation of who the bottom 5 teams are in the NHL. Going from 32nd up, Chicago, Anaheim, San Jose, Ottawa, Columbus. And I'll be honest with you, I don't understand where the talk's coming from that Ottawa is going to make the playoffs, because every time I turn on the TV, they lose. Ottawa. The Berube firing, I think, surprised a lot of people. It did, just because they just won a Stanley Cup not that long ago. It feels like not that long ago. But do you think DJ Smith is the next guy fired? Or do you believe the owner that says he's going to finish the season?
I think he's going to finish the season. I think bringing in Jacques Martin helps. I think where people think where Ottawa is they're below in the standings, but I keep talking about these games in hand. Well, they've got a bunch of games in hand, but it's only really an advantage if you're going to win them. And right now they're not winning the games. They're still just hover 500, drop a game or 2 below. They need to put together 4 or 5 wins in a row, or they need to win 6 or 7 of a 10-game stretch to put themselves back into the conversation. But they've got the opportunity because they have the games in hand, but they need to take advantage.
I heard it on the radio today. Potential is a thing that gets you fired. I mean, you've been in those meetings when our staff brings up potential and my head explodes. Potential doesn't mean a damn thing unless something's done with it. Anyways, it's Odd signing off the air with you, Moose. Thanks for joining us. This has been fun. See you tomorrow.
You bet. Great show.
And everybody else, noon Eastern here, Game Plus and Key Radio. McFly, hello.